Welcome back, guys. In this video, we'll be talking about becoming a Smartbuild distributor. Maybe you've heard about it, you're just curious on how that works. We'll be talking about it, going through the steps, and even at the end, if you hang around to the end, we'll be going a little bit deeper and talking about some of the new features we released to help distributors out. So if you check out our website, you've probably seen we have several pages dedicated to this topic. We even feature some of our larger distributors on here, and anyone that wants to be can be. If you agree and you have the contract set up to do that. You can see some of our distributors across the Midwest. We're always looking for new distributors. So let's jump right into how this works and how you can possibly grow your sales becoming a distributor. So looking at my account here, we use the term builders when it comes to distributing Smartbuild. And that term may change, but as of now, that's kind of the term that we're using. And thinking about that, so what we have in mind was you set up your account, you may be a supply company, and you sign up contractors that can use the software under your account. So basically, they don't have to go through that entire setup process, and they can easily use Smartbuild using your pricing. And we have a lot of tools in place to make that all work and make your life a lot easier, maintaining it and all that. So first of all, just jumping into what does that look like? So when I'm a builder and I log in and I'm using a supplier's database, now when I log in, I see my pricing and I see my jobs. That's the only jobs I see. If you look at the other side of it, if I'm a supplier, when I log in, I can manage and maintain and even help and look at my builder's jobs. They'll be listed out separate on my jobs list if I'm an administrator on this account. And we have all types of settings where you can hide jobs if you don't want to see your builder's jobs and things like that. In this menu, I'm showing the layout. You can see the different level builders that I have. Level 1 would indicate a supplier having multiple locations. Level 2 would indicate contractors under those locations. So again, you can name them however you want. And users would be tied to those locations and their jobs would be all contained within that location. So again, some of the new features that we've added to help manage this process, when you set up multiple locations or builders, you can have them to where they can be child controlled. And what does that mean? Well, child controlled is just a term that we use that lets the administrator know that this location is controlled by someone at that location. It's controlled a level down, and we can do up to 3 levels. So you may have multiple locations. So with this location, this third level is also child controlled. It's controlled by someone a level down. So it's indicated in this way. So again, that really helps. Again, long term, if you have new products that you're adding. And an example is base trim. Let's start out with an example. And you can click right on this name here, and you can select. It's a new feature that we added where you can look at a certain trim and it will show you all of the answers that everyone's using. So all of my locations and builders here, I can see what base trim they're using. If I decide to edit, and now notice when I edit this, these two are child controlled. So when I edit this, anything that I take away or add to the base trim, it will show up when I go back to that menu, and it will act differently depending on if they're child controlled. So again, I'm just going to details, finding my base trim, and I'm editing that, and I'm going to just delete everything but the top one, the rat guard. So I delete, save this, and I'm going to check this little pencil. I'm going to push this to builders. Basically, I'm pushing this to any builder that is not child controlled, and I go ahead and save that. So now when I come back and look at my framing rules, you can see that, okay, here's what happened. So anybody that was not child controlled, it applied those changes to them. So that's really nice. It's really nice because it helps you manage a lot of accounts as your company grows, and it didn't affect these. Now, the next thing is if I add new products, it will also add them to that list. Now, one thing that can be different is if you have a unique builder that does their own thing, like maybe they have a unique product that they've added to their base trim. Like let's say we go to level 2 builder, this builder 2 here, and we add a unique product to their base trim. So in their base trim, we're going to scroll here and I'll just find a random trim, and we're going to add, let's say that we add this F channel. It doesn't really make sense, but we'll do that. We're going to add this and we're going to move it up on the list so it's right below the rat guard, and we save this. So keep in mind what we've done. We've added a new trim to this level 1 builder, and this is where you can have different builders, so it's unique. They've got an F channel here, and now we don't have F channel on the parent account. We're not using that as our base trim. So I can add new items now, and let's say that we add a new item to the parent account and we want to share it with the builders. So again, I'm going to base trim again, and I'm just using this as our example all the way through this scenario. So I'm going to details and editing the base trim again. And in this case, for the parent, we just have 2 trims. And I'm just going to pick a random trim, and we will add this rat guard R rib. So we've added it to the list, put it right above none, and we click save. And I'm also going to apply this change to builders, and I'm going to save it. Now keep in mind, before it may have worked differently. This is how it works now. So now we have a rat guard and a rat guard R rib and none as our choices, and it applied the same here. It also added the rat guard R rib to this level 1 builder 2, but it did not wipe out their F channel because this is a unique product they've added. So now we allow you to have unique builders, and you may have several that do their own thing, but when you add a new product, you can also push it to them so they can start using it without affecting or messing up their starting models, their templates, or their framing rules. So this is a neat new feature that we've added. And again, the child controlled, it didn't affect them in any way. So if you have some builders or locations that have some formal training and understand how framing rules work, you may actually go to your builders and you can turn that setting on, which allows them to edit their own framing rules, and it allows them to be excluded from your changes that you make. So if I would uncheck can edit framing rules here, all that does is when they go into their settings menu, they don't see framing rules at all. So they obviously couldn't edit their own. If I turn this on and I uncheck is child controlled, that basically, when I go back, that just means that when I make changes to my parent builder, it's also, if I push those changes with the pencil, so now notice it does not say is child controlled. So any changes that I make to the parent in adding new ones, like this unique item, or subtracting certain choices, it would apply those same changes. So one thing it will not do is it will not affect their unique items that they already have on the list. And that's really hard to explain and understand, because if I delete this rat guard R rib, it would go through this list and it may pull out the rat guard R rib, but it would leave these other items here because they had chose these on their own, and they were using this item by themselves. Again, this is about managing multiple accounts, and it makes it easier. So if you understand that concept, it'll be a lot smoother going forward. Other things that you can do with builders when it comes to maintaining them is you can have separate permissions. So if we're calling them builders even though it may be locations, and you can have unique pricing tied to those builders or locations. So when I go into my builders and go into pricing, you will see that I have my main pricing table here. And this is all my items that I have loaded into my Smartbuild database. So I've got all of my parts, and I have my standard markup that I have marked up so that I'm reselling it for. And again, you may have it set to retail or however you have yours, but that's not the point. The point is that when I go to one of my builders, now I can see that I have an extra column here, and it's called supplier markup. Now, don't be concerned, because your builders, when they log in, they can never see this supplier markup because they're a level down. So the first column that they would see would be their part cost, and then they can mark it up or down from there, and they see their price. So again, this is all part of the builder setup, and we'll assist you in that. I just wanted to point that out if you weren't familiar how pricing worked when it comes to builders. So again, we've added a few new features, mostly related to updating framing rules, which if you're in the setup wizard and you make changes on that end also, we have a new setting there that you can apply changes to builders. So when you add that new trim or you add a new framing part, and you just want to update all your builders too, or your locations where they all get that new item, and you don't want to have to go into each framing rule and add that new item manually, you can simply go to that item, and when you make the change or when you add that item and you save your changes in the setup wizard, there's a new option to push that change to all your builders. Now, it's not going to update the builder if they are child controlled. Otherwise, it's going to. So that's the critical factor if you're trying to update your builders. And you just have to make a decision on, when you set up a builder or a location, do they have someone that's able to manage the account going forward? Can they log in periodically and keep up with the new features? Will they set up their own trims and all that? So again, that's a little bit into distributing some of the new features. We're always looking for new partners in the business, and if you want to become a distributor, we will feature you on our map here. Just let us know, reach out to sales and let us know if you want to do that. So I hope this helps everyone, and God bless.